your worship leader this morning. Besides seeing all your lovely faces, one thing I love about this congregation is the staff and members working together to support our mission. I want to tell you a little bit about that. This week I've been reflecting on the past year plus at UUCB. Before Reverend David joined us in August of 2021, Reverend Jeremy served our congregation for the 2020-2021 church year. And oh, what a year. It was full of pandemic challenges. Church business largely conducted via Zoom and focused on how to be and to work together safely. All staff working remotely. The congregation gathering via Zoom to worship on Sunday mornings. Along with the pandemic, the year was marked by deep political division and unrest in our country. And closer to home, our community experienced the mass shootings at the Table Mesa King Soopers. I was so grateful for Reverend Jeremy's presence during that year. As that year came to a close, our amazing search committee brought us Reverend David Schwartz for a week of candidating and getting to know one another, ultimately resulting in our voting wholeheartedly to call him as our next settled minister. Now, with all of that in the rearview mirror, and with Reverend David pretty much settled in and at the helm, it's been exciting to welcome 3 new staff members who've joined us recently, Sam Henderson, Ted G., and Irene Kirschenbaum. It's wonderful to see the wheels and the gears turning again.
Well, this really is a novel experience, meeting in physical reality with you. Yeah, wonderful. It's wonderful. It's really nice to know what we can be together after that time. So it's just lovely to see you all. As we prepare our hearts and minds for worship, please hear these words from author and space futurist Frank White, who wrote in his book, The Overview Effect, quote, "There are no borders or boundaries on our planet except those that we create in our minds or through human behaviors. All the ideas and concepts that divide us when we're on the surface begin to fade away from orbit and the moon. The result is a shift in worldview and in identity," unquote. Today, may we endeavor to let all that might distract us from being here similarly fade away as we spend this time fully present together. May it be so. Please join me in our opening hymn, "This Is My Song."
Good morning. It's number 159 in the gray hymnal. If we'd like to refer to the music. Is this on?
Mic is on.
Okay, it'll be on. Here we are. Is that it? Is it on? Ben is singing in a choral concert this weekend with conducted by Eric Whitaker, which is a big honor for him to be in this ensemble. So I am also being Ben this morning. So you know what that means. Help me out, please. Stand and sing nice and strong. This is my song. Thank you.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide.
This morning's wisdom story, love that, comes from the Gospel of William Shatner. He finally did get to go boldly where few had gone before recently. He got to go to outer space. And this is a little bit of an excerpt from his response to that incredible experience. With all the attending noise, fire, and fury, we lifted off. I could see Earth disappearing. As we ascended, I was at once aware of pressure. Gravitational forces pulling at me, the G's. There was an instrument that told us how many G's we were experiencing. At 2 G's, I tried to raise my arm and I could barely do so. At 3 G's, I felt my face being pushed down into my seat. I don't know how much more of this I can take, I thought. Will I pass out? Will my face melt into a pile of mush? How many G's can my near 90-year-old body handle? And then suddenly relief. No G's, 0, weightlessness. We were floating. We got out of our harnesses and began to float around. The other folks went straight into somersaults and enjoying all the effects of weightlessness. I wanted no part in that. I needed to get to the window as quickly as possible to see what was out there. I looked down and I could see the hole that our spaceship had punched in the thin, blue-tinged layer of oxygen around Earth. It was as if there was a wake trailing behind us where we had just been, and just as soon as I'd noticed it, it disappeared. I continued my self-guided tour and turned my head to face the other direction, to stare into space. I love the mystery of the universe. I love all the questions that have come to us over thousands of years of exploration and hypothesis. Stars exploding years ago, their light traveling to us years later. Black holes absorbing energy, satellites showing us entire galaxies in areas thought to be devoid of matter entirely. All of that has thrilled me for years, but when I looked in the opposite direction, into space, there was no mystery, no majestic awe to behold. All I saw was death. I saw a cold, dark, black emptiness. It was unlike any blackness you can see or feel on Earth. It was deep, enveloping, all-encompassing. I turned back towards the light of home. I could see the curvature of Earth, the beige of the desert, the white of the clouds, and the blue of the sky. It was life, nurturing, sustaining life. Mother Earth, Gaia. And I was leaving her. Everything I had thought was wrong. Everything I had expected to see was wrong. I had thought that going into space would be the ultimate catharsis of that connection I had been looking for between all living things, that being up there would be the next beautiful step to understanding the harmony of the universe. In the film Contact, when Jodie Foster's character goes out to space and looks out into the heavens, she lets out an astonished whisper. They should have sent a poet, she says. I had a different experience, because I discovered that the beauty isn't out there. It's down here, with all of us. Leaving that behind made my connection to our tiny planet even more profound. It was amongst the strongest feelings of grief I have ever encountered. The contrast between the vicious coldness of space and the warm nurturing of Earth below filled me with overwhelming sadness. Every day, we are confronted with the knowledge of further destruction of Earth at our hands, the extinction of animal species, of flora and fauna, things that took 5 billion years to evolve, and suddenly we will never see them again because of the interference of mankind. It filled me with dread. My trip to space was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it felt like a funeral. I learned later that I was not alone in this feeling. It's called the overview effect. And it's not uncommon among astronauts, including Yuri Gagarin, Michael Collins, Sally Ride, and many others. Essentially, when someone travels to space and views Earth from orbit, a sense of the planet's fragility takes hold in an ineffable, instinctive manner. So ends the reading of Shatner. It's a heavy one, so I'll just let that sit with us. We're going to explore the overview effect in a couple different ways this morning. That's just one way to look at it. And I'm going to hand off to Chris, get our chalice lighting going.
That was pretty heavy. Oh my gosh. Transition. The chalice is the symbol of our liberal faith. It is the warmth of compassion. The chalice is a symbol of our liberal faith. It is the warmth of compassion, the fire of justice, a lamp on the spiritual path. If you're joining us online and have a chalice nearby, please get ready to light the chalice with us. I'd like to introduce Sharon Leroy to light our chalice this morning.
Good morning. Well, that's really loud. Through my continued interest in art as social commentary from my college years, I recently came across the Chinese poet I Ching, the father of Chinese artist Ai Weiwei. I Ching was a fighter for freedoms, found in his work and forbidden in China, but he persevered just as his son Ai Weiwei does today. I'd like to share this writing by I Ching, The Dream of the Man Who Planted Flowers. And it's not a direct quote. I've left out some in honor of time. The dream of the man who cultivated flowers. In his courtyard, a man who cultivated flowers planted several hundred bushes of China rose. When the roses bloomed, the flowers varied in color, but not in kind. Every day, in order to better nourish these flowers, he pruned, painstakingly irrigated, fertilized the branches and leaves. One evening, the man had a startling dream. Just as he was cutting the withered branches from a rose bush, a crowd of flowers thronged into the courtyard. It was as if all the flowers of the world had come. Amazed, he stood up and looked around at each one in turn. The first to speak was the peony. I have my pride. I certainly wouldn't care to be your courtyard's uninvited guest. But today, at my sister's request, I accompanied them. The water lily. When I awoke on the bed of my pond by the forest edge, I heard the clamor of my sisters as they passed through the forest, so I followed along. The morning glory bent her delicate body and parted her lips. Could it be possible we're not beautiful enough? The pomegranate, incensed. Your indifference hides disdain. The white orchid, you must have insight to comprehend beauty within our character. The prickly pear, those who only love gentle people are themselves weak. We're endowed with an indomitable, unswayable spirit. The winter jasmine, I bring faith. The orchid, I value friendship. And now the China roses said, the truth is, we are lonely. If we could be together with our sisters, we would be much happier. The multitude of flowers said, those who are favored are truly fortunate. We have been neglected for a long time. Behind the backs of the favored ones lurk many grievances. When they had finished, the flowers suddenly disappeared. When he awoke, he felt heaviness in his heart. It's the flower's nature to have self-resolve. To blossom is the flower's right. Because of favoritism, I have engendered discontent in all the flowers. More and more, I believe my world has come too narrow. Without comparison, ideas become muddled. Only if we have the short can we have the long. Only if we discern the small can we gauge the large. And only if we have the homely can we realize the beautiful. From this day on, my courtyard will become a country for all flowers. Let our lives grow wiser. Let all the flowers in their season bloom. As we know, our faith, like the flowers here, brings us each with our own gifts to share, learn, and grow with one another. I light our chalice in hopes that one day soon our world will come together. Just imagine.
To covenant is to commit that even if we fall short of our aspirations, we will not let go of them. We will never cease from trying again to live them out. In that spirit, gathered in person and online, will you all together speak our covenant aloud? We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it.
Ritual is the outward expression of an inward movement that sometimes unfolds over years. In moving our bodies, in placing stones to symbolize our joys and sorrows, we are gardeners of our souls, tending and training and teaching ourselves to recognize the hope and suffering woven daily into our living, becoming a people who recognize the beauty and the tragedy which suffuse this world. For you gathered in person, I invite you to come forward as you feel so moved. And you can, let's sit left of the stage. I'm one of those people who I'm like, which is stage left? One of you needs to tell me. I can't, but you probably know on your own which side of the stage to go to. But go to the correct side of the stage. Silently take a stone and feel its weight. Feel your body slowly warm it. Let the stone be an emblem of your thankfulness and your worry both. And then place it in the sacred earth, in the company of all the joys and sorrows of this gathered community. Please join me.
Oak, her sap doth run in my veins, boundless my soul, like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Bringing my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way.
also have a few we're going to share out loud here together. Fred shares that yesterday Ingrid received the Pali Baca Fuertes 2022 Latina Leadership Award. I wish I could have been there for that, but let's... Really wonderful. Bab sends blessings for the family of the high school friend Nancy Matthews, who died this past Thursday after a 2-year battle with cancer. Our love goes out to that family, absolutely. We're with them. Gary and Barbara celebrated 37 years of marriage on Friday, and today is eldest son Graham's 34th birthday, so a lot to celebrate there. And Robin Miller shares thoughts for Gunter Bernhardt, her foster father who died at 92 last Sunday. Love to your family, Robin, and to all who loved Gunter. I also know we have a missing child here in Boulder right now, and yeah, we do. We have it's being classed as a runaway, not quite sure, a high school student, so I know my heart goes out to that family who must just be living a moment of terror right now, so may they be reunited soon. For all of our hopes and griefs, we hold this compassionate space with love. Okay. I have a note here that we'll have some special music from Deborah. But I can hum pretty well. Fortunately, my repertoire is very limited to children's songs currently. So, hey Deborah.
What's up?
I just got a surprise for you. It says here that you're going to give us a little Rising Green.
I already did.
Well, it was so good, I thought we wanted to hear a little bit more of it. Sorry about that, Deborah.
Forgot the benediction music. Am I singing it again?
Just a little, give us a little something, yeah.
A little something?
Yeah.
I'll do the last verse. Or no, I'll do the third verse, I think.
Perfect.
I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
Definitely worthy of an encore. Thank you. The other day, as I sought the distraction of the mind-numbing embrace of social media, the following headline came across one of my various feeds. Quote, "Last two speakers of dying language won't speak to each other." Now, maybe I had woken up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, but for me, this headline came dangerously close to perfectly capturing my current mood with humanity. So, of course, I clicked on the link, hungry for the details. And I read that indeed Manuel Segovia and Isidro Velasquez, who live less than 500 yards from each other in a small village in Tabasco, Mexico, are the last two known fluent speakers of a very old indigenous language named Ayapaneco. However, as stated in the headline, the two neighbors dislike each other to the point of refusing to be in the same room. And the report went on to specify that the reason for the feud was unknown, but that their refusal to speak to each other was making it nearly impossible for the team trying to catalog and save their near-extinct language to do their job. You need at least two speakers. Double-check things. I also noticed that the article was from a few years ago. I'm a hopeful person, so I wondered if there was an update. I hopped on the Google, and a few keywords later, there it was. The headline of redemption that I had hoped for, quote, "Separated by a common language no more, last two speakers of dying tongue put their decades-long feud behind them to help bring it back from the brink of extinction." And when I clicked on this link, the story really began to unfold before me. As the article from the Daily Mail explained, the entire town had decided to take an interest in reuniting the two men in order to save this regional language. Unbeknownst to Manuel and Isidro, a group of townsfolk working with one of the anthropologists trying to save the language raised money and built a small school building dedicated to the teaching, the future hopeful teaching of the language. They then surprised the men by bringing them both to the school and said basically, look what could be. We can save our language if you will help us. And then they pulled down a banner and the name of the school was revealed. Roughly translated in English, it reads, "The School of Ayapaneco of Miguel and Isidro." The article had a video attached, and my voyeuristic detective ride came to an incredibly satisfying conclusion as I pressed play and suddenly witnessed this scene of revelation, with the two men standing in front of the school as the name was revealed. The results were immediate, as the two suddenly overwhelmed men looked at each other in stunned disbelief, embraced, and started to cry. The town had succeeded in bypassing their sense of self, that small, bound-up sense of pride at the center of their dispute, and rather, by appealing to the larger mission of saving the language, had reached a breakthrough, and Ayapaneco was saved. It gets better. The two men now teach the language there at that school together, and more people in the village are relearning their ancestral language every day. And in this little human story told in two headlines on the internet, I see both the promise and peril of the future of our species as we continue to struggle just to learn how to get along. And while it's easy to pick on these two neighbors from Tabasco, Mexico, and their made-for-clickbait dispute, I suspect that not one of us has perfected this yet ourselves. I don't mean to reduce the complexity and details of the diversity of thought represented in our world religious traditions, but it's hard to miss that pretty much every single one has something to say about the importance of how we treat our neighbors, our strangers, and distant relatives near and far. And yet, we have made stubbornly little progress along these lines. In seminary, where I was taught, at least, that there are essentially only two ways to fix a problem: a change of technology or a change of culture. Technological fixes can really only fix technological problems, and cultural fixes can really only fix cultural problems. And so the key is knowing what kind of problem you have in order to match up the right kind of solution. Some of your leadership team has probably been over some of this through the years. It seems pretty obvious to me that what currently faces our society is not a technological problem, but a cultural one. We don't lack enough of anything to go around, yet people go hungry and without a place to sleep. We don't lack knowledge of what we are doing to the earth, and to those around us, yet we continue stumbling along a path of planetary disaster and war. And we keep putting our hopes in technological solutions, like the invention of a new kind of fuel or a more perfect food source. But the problem is we need a massive cultural shift in what we value and how we treat each other. We need to learn to see every person as ourselves. Like the two men from Tabasco, we need to shift from individual consciousness to something greater than ourselves. And we need to do it really soon. Which brings me about 1,328,740 feet from Tabasco, Mexico, straight up in the air to outer space. And more specifically, to the phenomenon known as the overview effect that I've already alluded to a few times today. When I was a child, one of my dad's friends would come over sometimes, a man named Frank White. They had gone to college together and would get together like all old college buddies do, and the stories would start flowing, especially their favorite one about stealing the golf carts. But one story that Frank told really caught my attention. He was working on a book about astronauts and the cognitive shift they experienced when seeing the Earth from outer space, and he called it the overview effect, a new term he had invented for this book. The idea, perhaps not its full importance, but just the simple idea of the power of seeing the Earth from above, wedged itself deeply into my mind and just wouldn't let go. Now, all these years later, Frank's book and this idea are finally getting some traction because, just as he noted all those decades ago, the mind-opening, cultural shifting experience many have sought after from psychedelics and spiritual experiences, and that we all so desperately need to have, is in actuality experienced in a most profound way when humans see our planet Earth from above. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14 astronaut, described it this way, quote, "You develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics look so petty." They look pretty petty from here too, but you want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag them 250,000 miles out and say, "Would you look at that?" Those aren't just words. After being the 6th human to walk on the moon, Edgar Mitchell returned to our home planet and started IONS, the Institute for Noetic Science, whose mission to this day continues to be, quote, "to reveal the interconnected nature of reality through scientific exploration and personal discovery," unquote. We need that. One of the defining elements of this shift in consciousness is that a movement away from seeing oneself as the center of things. We really need that. Neil Armstrong said about the experience of seeing the Earth from outer space, quote, "It suddenly struck me that that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet Earth. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small," unquote. Another theme that comes up again and again with space travelers that have had this experience is of the complete realization of the fragileness of our planet. Down here, it's all we know, and it seems pretty big and solid and powerful. But as Shuttle and International Space Station resident Ron Guerin said, quote, "When we look down at the Earth from space, we see this amazing, indescribably beautiful planet. It looks like a living, breathing organism. But it also, at the same time, looks extremely fragile. Anybody else who's ever gone to space says the same thing, because it really is striking and it's really sobering to see this paper-thin layer and to realize that that little paper-thin layer is all that protects every living thing on Earth from death, basically. from the harshness of space, unquote. When's the last time you gave thanks for that little bit of atmosphere up there? Doing a lot for us. The final point I want to make about the incredible impact of the overview effect is that it is long-lasting and perhaps even permanent. When these people return to planet Earth, they are supercharged with a new mission to take care of our planet and help convince people of the interconnected nature of our destiny. And I'm not just talking about the scientist astronauts, because we're living in this new era of space tourism. As Anush Ansari related after her 2 privately paid-for trips in the Soyuz space capsule, quote, "The actual experience exceeds all expectations and is something that's hard to put to words. It sort of reduces things to a size that you think everything's manageable. All these things that may seem big and impossible, we can do this. Peace on Earth, no problem." It gives people that type of energy, that type of power. And I have experienced that, unquote. Okay, I know what you're thinking right now. Jeremy, you've convinced me. The overview effect sounds exactly like what we need. Everyone should experience this cultural shift, but can we really all get on spaceships? Probably not. Probably not. So that's what brings me to my work in virtual reality. As many of you know, I'm one of your community ministers, and as Chris said, I served you recently for a year as your consulting minister. I am an ordained UU minister and love our movement, and about 5 years ago, I took it into a very new place, into these goggles that maybe some of you have seen people wearing. I began offering live meditation sessions in that place you've heard about called the metaverse. Many of you have probably seen a pair of VR goggles. Maybe some of you have tried out that experience. Anyone been in VR goggles and had some? All right, we've got a couple of you. I've been asked to maybe bring some goggles in here to show you all what's going on. So I'm find a Sunday someday where I can camp out after a service and get some of you into those headsets. Once you have these goggles on your face, everywhere you look, you see a new reality. You could suddenly be in a room with a roaring fire crackling away, or up on a mountain, or anywhere else an artist can dream up and breathe to life. And you don't have to be in virtual reality alone. You walk around in these virtual worlds in an avatar body of your own creation. It can look a lot like you or nothing like you. I talk to like dragons and turtles and stuff. And so you're really having an experience just like you would in physical reality. You're just walking around in a new place with new people from anywhere in the world. And the idea of joining live meditations in these spaces really took off, especially during the pandemic when everyone was extra anxious and lonely and realized that COVID can't spread in VR. When I finally had a little budget to hire someone to build me a space in virtual reality where I could hold the meditations just like I wanted, I knew exactly what I wanted to create. That long buried and hardly conscious thought from childhood immediately burst forth. I wanted a space where we could experience the overview effect together. Not just talk about it, not just look at pictures of it or watch videos of other people experiencing it, but to really have the experience together of floating above our planet. And that's what we did. That first attempt wasn't perfect, but it allowed us to start an event in virtual reality, hanging out with other avatars on something that looked like the surface of planet Earth. And by the end of that event, we would all be floating at the height of the International Space Station, looking down at our gorgeous planet. And it was really powerful. The comments we got from people after just the first time we did it were stunning. People felt connected to each other and to our planet in all the ways we had heard astronauts describing. Over the following year after its creation, I literally took more people to outer space than all of the world space programs combined to date. Meanwhile, our VR spiritual community continued to grow. I hired more people to lead meditations and to lead other events too, like yoga, small group conversations, parties with live DJs. And suddenly, we were a full-fledged community of thousands of people from all over the world. In 2021, we had over 40,000 people visit our events from 42 different countries. We were a new kind of spiritual community. And then, just last year, in perhaps a world's first, our spiritual community was acquired. It probably doesn't happen a whole lot, by the leading VR wellness company called Trip VR. This partnership has vastly expanded our resources, and when I was asked what was the first world I wanted to build out with these new resources, I went right back to my old friend, the overview effect. In a few hours, today, after leading these lovely services in physical reality with all of you, I will lead the first ever event in our new space. Frank White will be there to speak, and it will be a full circle moment for me. Hopefully, with this new, more powerful overview effect experience, we can bring tens of thousands of more people into this mind-shifting moment. I believe so strongly in the power of this experience, and I want to make it possible for every single living human to experience it. Some have referred to the overview effect as a human right. I think it's that important. But really, what I'm really most excited about is that I was able to disprove the binary I was taught in seminary, that every problem is either cultural or technological. Because this one shows that they can often be both. We need the overview effect to shift our culture, but we need technology to make it feasible to bring it to the masses. Whether it's virtual reality or some still to be realized technology, I know in my heart and soul that we need this experience as a people. And while I can't today get each and every one of you into my VR event, I would like to utilize an even more powerful technology I currently know of to help you catch just a glimpse of the power of the overview effect. That technology is your mind. We're going to go on a little guided meditation overview effect journey here. So I invite you, wherever you're sitting, to make sure you're as comfortable as you can be. I like to have my feet right on the ground when I'm meditating, but just make sure your body is in a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you want to do that. You can keep them open if you'd like. And just start by following your breath, that beautiful teacher, just noticing your breathing as it slowly rolls through your body. And in that emptiness of your mind's eye, I invite you to start populating it with an incredible view of outer space, the stars, that vast emptiness that was so surprising for Mr. Shatner. And when you're ready to turn your gaze towards our planet, floating 1,000,000 feet below you, a beautiful blue and green and white. Notice that there are no boundaries between countries on that earth. Those aren't real. We just make those up. Our planet is one beautiful whole organism, slowly turning, watching the mountains and the oceans, the great weather spots, just seeing it in your mind. And here's some good news. You're not actually alone up there. You're with about 60 or so of your best you friends. We're all floating up there with you. And I want you to picture, if you can, the earth down there, but all of us in a beautiful circle around that planet, floating. Maybe we're in space suits. We don't need to be. We're safe. But if you want us in space suits, that sounds cool. Just watch us floating around our beautiful home. hopefully you feel some love in your heart for that planet. I know I do. I've spent all my time down here. It's a pretty important place. If you want to, I invite you to bring to your mind's eye a person or some people or a place on that planet that needs that love. And to picture it, to really imagine it flowing out of your heart. Just love. Uncomplicated, simple love flowing out of your heart down to planet Earth, right to that person or to those people or to that part of the earth that needs it. Just really hold that image in your mind. If you look around, you'll see you're connected by energy and love to all those floating with you around the earth. One ring of love. Raining love and energy down to our planet. Just holding that image. As you're ready, noticing your feet on the floor here. Noticing the feeling of your body resting on your chair. As you're ready, slowly opening your eyes and returning to this shared space. Welcome back, space tourists. Thank you for joining me.
Please rise in body of spirit and join in singing hymn number 82, This Land of Bursting Sunrise.
This land of a bursting sunrise, all lavender and blue, its cloud-strewn light-swept day skies flow, and every day renew. To east the glow of dawning, to west the blaze of night, round all the long horizon's rim, the everlasting light. This land of open vistas, life-rooted, deep and free, thy canyon plains, thy mountains vast, plumb earth's immensity. Here in life's fragile balance, the sun and the stars above find hand in hand and heart to heart the everlasting love.
This month, our offering goes to Planned Parenthood. I'd like to share the following information provided by this important organization. With over 100 years of experience, no one knows more about the effective delivery of reproductive and sexual health care than Planned Parenthood. We are the longest standing sexual and reproductive health expert throughout our 4-state region. Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains empowers individuals and families in the communities we serve to make informed choices about their sexual and reproductive health by providing high-quality health services, comprehensive sex education, and strategic advocacy. Our 24 health and community centers around Colorado, New Mexico, and Southern Nevada offer a range of services, including the following: all FDA-approved forms of contraception, wellness exams, including cervical and breast cancer screenings, STI and HIV screenings, and treatment of common STIs and vaginal infections, UTI assessment and treatment, vaccines, reproductive life planning and menopause services, gender-affirming care and hormone replacement therapy, medication and in-clinic procedural abortion care, early pregnancy evaluation and management, including miscarriage management, and colonoscopy procedures, polyp removal, and endometrial biopsies. It's quite a list. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. For those online, you can use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person, you can scan the QR code or make a donation as the ushers now pass the baskets. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
My dentist office is right by Planned Parenthood, and there are always protesters there. Sending them a note of support means a lot. This means a lot too. So thank you all for doing this. We gratefully receive this offering. May it strengthen this community and support our devotion to loving service. As we bring our sacred time together to a close, I invite you to hear the words of Frank White one final time, who said, quote, "If I permanently lived off the planet, I would always see the planet as a whole system. I would see and understand things that we've been trying to understand for thousands of years. Our experience is the same experience as our ancestors 1,000 years ago, our ancestors 35,000 years ago. The entire planet is an interconnected whole system. We are all in this together," unquote. May we continue to take steps towards shifting our consciousness so that we too may one day fully see and realize the truth of our interconnectedness. May it be so. Ashe. Will you rise in body or spirit as we close in song?